toe, yeah, I mean, California, kind of like by San Francisco. He's living up there, and he is his daughter, and he's telling her, like, hey, maybe you can come out and live with me. Cleo, was working at the Navy Yards and said that Elizabeth could, like, come live with him, and in return, she could, like, cook and clean around the house, so she had to get it. So Elizabeth agreed, and Cleo had given her $800 so she could move and come stay with him. I mean, she's excited because it's California. Her dreams come true. You know, this is exciting. She's an star. So Elizabeth moves out to live with her father, but the stay really wouldn't last that long. It would only last about 3 weeks. See, apparently, Elizabeth, she would be staying out all night, and she wasn't doing any cooking or cleaning like she had agreed on with her father. So her father is the one who actually says, like, hey, this isn't working out. This is becoming more of a headache than it is helpful, and I really want you to move out. And so Elizabeth did. She packed her stuff and she moved out. Sadly, Elizabeth's father said that this was the last time that he saw and heard from her again. Well, Elizabeth, she didn't want to go back to Massachusetts because, I mean, she's in California. She, you know, might as well, like, make the most of it. So she's, like, looking around for a job. She was able to find one working at Camp Cook on the military base. And she was working at the Post Exchange, which is a store where they sold food, clothes, all sorts of stuff. So Elizabeth would work there. She would only be there for about 9 months. I feel like that's a good amount of time. And then she decided to leave and head down to sunny San Diego. So Elizabeth really had no plan. Okay, she had no job. She didn't know where she was going to stay. She didn't know what she was doing. She was doing it. She was doing it. She was going to San Diego. So she goes down there, and that's when she meets a woman named Dorothy, who worked at an all-night theater. Elizabeth and Dorothy kind of hit it off. They're just chatting. And Elizabeth ends up telling Dorothy that she doesn't have anywhere to go. She doesn't have a plan, and she didn't know what she was going to do, you know? But the two really hit it off that night, and Dorothy offered Elizabeth a place to stay at her house. So Elizabeth agreed, and she promised her it wasn't going to be long. She didn't want it to be long. Now, Elizabeth would end up staying with Dorothy for about a month from December 1946 to January 1947. And she told Dorothy that she was off to her next adventure and that someone by the name of Fred was picking her up at the house. So Dorothy said her goodbye, and Elizabeth hopped into the bigger coupe that had rolled up into the front of the house to pick her up. So Dorothy said, you know, good luck, wished her well, and that was that. The morning of January 15th, 1947, a 911 call comes into the Los Angeles dispatch center to report what seems to be a dead body. Police go out to the location, and when they arrive, they are just shocked, stunned, confused, human after. And when they get there, what they see is a naked body just laying on the grass out in the middle of, like, the suburbs. It's just a really strange place to find a body. So what they see is that the body was found lying on their back on the lawn area and just steps away from the sidewalk. Now, the main thing that was probably the most concerning was the fact that the body was cut in half. Very concerning. The body was literally cut in half. They didn't find any identification, so at the time they just referred to her as Jane Doe. But, spoiler, because now it was Elizabeth. Her body was cut about an inch above her head, just right in half, clean cut. The lower half of her body was disconnected from the upper half of her body, and they were kind of like her upper body's over here and her lower body's over here. It's just like not far from each other, but it was, again, just completely cut in half. There are pictures. I am not going to ruin your day, okay? So they see that. Her right breast was also cut off, and police noted that each of her big toes, just the big toes, were painted a vibrant red. It looked like maybe it had just been done. This is just a side note because it got me thinking. You know, at first I was like, that's weird that just her big toes are painted. But then I thought about it. I thought about, like, the times I personally, I've done this, so maybe she did this. I've worn, like, open toe shoes before. Maybe one of your toes is showing, so you just paint that just paint the toe that's showing. So maybe she did it. That's what I was thinking. Or maybe some weirdo just painted her big toe. She also had deep cuts across her forehead. It was crisscross cuts on her pubic region. And on her hip, whatever sicko did this, literally cut a game of tic-tac-toe into her right hip. I just feel like there's a time and a place to play tic-tac-toe. When it takes a special type of sicko to cut it into somebody's body. I seriously got stuck on this tic-tac-toe thing forever. They really did that. I mean, she was kind of happy. Tic-tac-toe. What many know most about her, or most about this case, was the fact that she was also cut from each side of her mouth about 3 inches from side to side, giving her like a Joker smile. It was creepy. The whole thing is just disturbing. So it was clear to the police that she was strangled because she had markings around her neck. And there were also marks on her arms and legs that showed signs of her being tied up with either rope or ties. She was restrained. Now they also noted that Elizabeth's body had been lying face down for an extended period of time after her death because of the lividity on her front side. So when you die, let's say you die, not you. Let's say someone dies, sleeping face up. They lived a great life, don't worry. All of the blood pools and settles wherever your position. So if you died like laying down, all the blood would pool to your backside, and it turns your skin blackish purplish. But it's important because it will tell investigators if your body was moved after death. Because, like in this case, it was clear to police officers that she died face down because of the lividity on her front side. When they found her, she was actually face up, which, in conclusion, told police that she was placed there. Now, if all of that wasn't weird, one of the strangest thing of all, there was no blood. Okay, there was no blood at the crime scene. Her body had no blood. There was no smears of blood anywhere. There was no drop of blood anywhere. There was nothing. This was strange because, I mean, she was cut in half. So there should be blood. Her body was completely drained of all blood. So creepy. Is that makeup? I got makeup in my hair. Oops. Police really had nowhere to go from here. They had no leads. They had a very mysterious body. And so what they decided to do was contact the woman who called 911. Maybe she saw something, passed her somewhere. So it would be about a week until police were able to locate the 911 caller, who was a woman named Miss Bursinger. Miss Bursinger said that she was out for a walk with her young daughter, and they were going to the shoe store. They're walking, they're minding their own business, and she saw what seemed to be a body lying in the grass. At first, she thought the body was fake, okay, because it was extremely pale. It looked like a mannequin, but it scared her enough that she went to the nearest house, and she asked if she could borrow her phone, and she called 911. Now, Miss Bursinger said that she didn't go back to the crime scene after that because she didn't want her young child to see the actual body and all that jazz, But not much really came from this information. Once Jane Doe's body got to the coroners, they were able to get fingerprints and run the prints through their system to see if they could get an ID. And luckily enough, they got a hit, and they were able to ID the body as Elizabeth Short. So, based off of this information, the police were able to locate Elizabeth's father, Leo. So, police go out to his home, and I feel like this is every parent's worst nightmare. Police showing up to inform you that your child was murdered and cut in half. So, I don't think they tell you that, which is probably for the better. I don't know. I mean, that's just in my mind every parent's worst nightmare, but according to Leo, not his. When police showed up, Leo answered the door just wasted. He was wasted and angry. So police tell Leo that they found his daughter's body. And Leo said that he really didn't give a rat's ass that his daughter was found. And he didn't want to go to the coroner's office to even identify her body. And that was that. When I read that, I was like, are you serious? So then police contacted Elizabeth's mother, who again was back in Massachusetts. As soon as she got the word, she got a ticket and flew right out to Los Angeles just as soon as she could. So police go out and find Dorothy, the woman who Elizabeth had been staying with for the last month and a half. So they find Dorothy and they're asking her if she knows anything to help them. Studebaker, who his name was Red. But this was enough information for them. Police are able to get the guy's name, Red, and then also the car as well. Police began to search all of the motels in the San Diego area. When they got to the motel in Pacifico Beach, they had records that showed guests who checked in on December 19th to the motel. This person drove a 1939 Studebaker. The guest name who checked in was Robert Gormley. Police look up this guy, this Robert guy, and they see if they can find an image of him in a picture, and they do. Luckily, they find a picture. Now, they take this picture, and this is the man she saw the morning Elizabeth left. And Dorothy said, yes, that's him. And they're like, yes, bingo, we're going to solve a mystery today. It's probably thinking. So police try to figure out what's up with this Robert guy. They do a little background check on him, but they see that he lived in South Beach, California. He was married with a wife, and he worked as a sales engineer. They also saw that on January 17th, just 2 days after the murder, he took off to San Francisco with a guy named Harry. Police first locate where Robert lived, and then that's when they figure out that he's out of town with his friend Harry. So then they go out to Harry's house, and nobody's home. They take a peek in his garage, and guess what they find? It's Robert's 1939 Studebaker. I mean, the pieces are coming together. Police are feeling confident that these are their people. So they wait outside of Harry's home in hopes that Harry and Robert show up. Well, the police end up sitting there for 2 days. Okay, 2 days go by, and on January 19th, guess who shows up? Well, it's Harry and Robert. So police take Robert into custody. They book him. They also search his car. The police asked Robert all sorts of questions, and they also gave him 2 polygraph tests that Robert ends up passing. They had nothing on him, so he was released. So, of course, the media got a hold of this story, a beautiful young woman murdered and cut in half. I mean, people were obsessed. And so what in the world could have happened to her? That's when the media gave her the name Black Dahlia for her dark, full hair. She was always said to have a flower in her hair, and her love for lacy black underwear. People in the newspaper room were like, let's talk about this murder, but make it sexy. It was like just based off of what she was wearing that night, Stupid. Okay, anyways. The people in the community are following the story heavily. Have we got a killer? What's going on? A month goes by, and police still have 0 suspects. And the community is getting a little impatient. What's taking them so long to solve this murder? I'm feeling unsafe in my community. Because the media was reporting on this case pretty heavily, it led to a lot of people coming forward and actually confessing to killing Elizabeth, but none of them had actual evidence that they did indeed kill her. They were just trying to claim it. Yeah, we need better hobbies, you guys. Look into it. But the Los Angeles Police Department did receive letters from the supposed killer, and they believed this person was indeed the killer, or at least knew who it was, because they were sending some of Elizabeth's personal items to police in the mail. One of these items was Elizabeth's address book, one that she always had with her. Inside her address book, there were pages ripped out, which made police think, maybe on those pages was the information of her killer. By February 5th, 1947, 2 arrests were made for this case. Robert, aka Red, and a man named Dan. They arrested Red again. They got nowhere with it, and they had to let him go. With this man named Dan, he confessed, but later Dan said that he was mad, and that's why he confessed, but that he really didn't do it. So police are like, hey, sure, he didn't say that, but, people seem to be confessing left and right, but none of them are actually the killer. It's just wasting everyone's time and making things more confusing. Another suspect came to the surface. That was an infamous Hollywood doctor to the stars named George Hodel. Is it George Hodel? It's George. Friends of George recognized the pictures in the paper of Elizabeth, and they were like, So what he did was give it to the police that Elizabeth was briefly dating George. They were never official, but people remembered seeing her around at George's home, where he threw a lot of shady parties. So police look into this George guy and who he is, and they see that he had a pretty shady past. Not even shady. This dude issues and should have been in prison. This sicko was accused of sexually abusing his daughter, who was only 14 years old. Allegedly, she became pregnant. Well, that's not alleged. Allegedly, he had sexually abused her, and then she became pregnant. And then, to make things worse, George attempted to perform an abortion on his daughter. It wasn't successful. It was decided to place the baby up for adoption. Now, I guess that there was this whole trial, but it ended up being acquitted, and he was let go. But I know it's like, I'm not bringing a lot of evidence and proof to this. He was guilty. So George became a pretty strong suspect, and the police are thinking, like, this is our guy, we need to get a confession. Now, George, he was rich. He was loaded. They knew it wasn't going to be easy trying to get anything from him. Like, he's not just going to confess. Rich people don't just confess. They lawyer up or they shut up. But at some point, police bug his home and they listen in to his daily conversations. Fun. I mean, not fun. Don't do that. It's illegal. You can, but I would like to do that job. That would be fun to me. On February 18th, 1950, investigators are now listening in to his day-to-day whatever shenanigans. George is talking on the phone. Around 8:30 p.m., they hear a woman scream. 2 minutes later, they hear a woman scream again. Now, it was noted that a woman was not heard anytime within the house after 6:50 p.m. This woman was not in any conversation and not heard of again until the time of letting out those two screams. So LAPD goes out to the house and they go inside and check things out, see what's going on, and then they leave. So I guess nothing was found. Once police leave, they hear George making a phone call. George is saying something along the lines of putting a pillow over her face and covering her with a blanket. That's what it says. Then after some time passes, they hear George saying, quote, supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia, they couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead. And George's secretary at the time had just died from an overdose, so it's all sketchy, and I feel like I could just do a whole video on George himself because again, there was some shady stuff going on. Okay, because also in the transcripts from the house book, it was believed that George was giving payoffs to law enforcement. There were a lot of people who really believed that George was indeed the one responsible, and by April of 1950, there was actually enough evidence to charge George for the murder of Elizabeth. When they tried to make an arrest, it was too late. George fled the U.S., and I believe he went to the Philippines, but he fled the U.S. George had a son, and his name was Steve. And Steve heavily believed his father was responsible for the murder, and even believed that his father killed many more. His father left the country, then he would come back from time to time to the States, not telling anyone, of course. And Steve believed that when he came back, he was actually killing people when he was here, and then he would leave again. Steve said that when he got older, he decided that he wanted to do some further digging on his father to try and find some answers. So in 2013, yes, 2013, the soil behind George's home was tested for human remains. They tested the soil, and it came back positive. The downside with this test is that it just tells you it's positive. It doesn't tell you whose remains, when there was remains, why there was remains, so there's really not much information other than it did test positive. Steve, George's son, he ended up writing a book about his father and how he believes it was him who committed the Black Dahlia murder, but many are still very skeptical and kind of doubt his story a lot because they think that Steve maybe has a personal vendetta against his father. So he got off the hook, George, because he was gone. They really couldn't do anything about it. Back to square one. The case once again went cold. Now on November 24th, 1950, a woman by the name of Christine Reynolds, who was 35 years old, she was a mother of 3, she called the Oakland Tribune to give them a tip that she was going to turn herself in and confess to the Black Dahlia murder. By this time, Christine was the 27th person to confess to the murder. 27th. I hate people. So police are kind of like, yeah, surely. But something was very different with Christine's story. Okay? Christine told police that she had many love affairs with Hollywood movie stars. But she also said that Elizabeth was living with her at the time of her murder. Christine said that she knew Elizabeth as Libby and that they had met at a bar in Hollywood about 3.5 years ago. Christine said that they had been in a bit of a love affair of their own, and they would meet at motels for some sweet lovin', which now we're like, yeah, big deal. But again, this was the early 50s, so two girls having a love affair was just like, what? People are just losing their shit. So the media, once again, is adding to the story, describing their relationship as pervy and unnatural. People are just, their heads are exploding. This case is just turning into some huge media story. Christine told the police that Elizabeth was also running around with another woman while they were together. 4 nights before Elizabeth's murder, Christine was drunk and irritated because Elizabeth wasn't home yet. It was getting late and she wasn't home. So she went out looking for her, and that's when she found her at a bar with another woman named Louise. Elizabeth and her got into a bit of an argument, and Christine told her, like, come on, we're leaving. And they left. Christine's driving, because that's how you drive. And while on the car ride home, Christine and Elizabeth were arguing, and Christine said that she leaned over and she began to choke Elizabeth, and that she was fighting back. She was trying to get away from her. Eventually, Elizabeth was able to break free and get the car door open and just kind of run up the street a bit. Christine said she kind of like pulls up the car over next to her, walks up behind Elizabeth, and puts her in a chokehold. Then Christine remembered that she had like a flip knife with her. It was not a pocket knife, a bigger flip knife. She had a knife with her. So she pulls the knife out and she has it in her hand to intimidate Elizabeth. Christine tells police she completely forgot she had the knife in her hand because she was drinking whiskey, and then she's like started to stab her. But she didn't remember that she stabbed her, but she remembered that she stabbed her because she's telling investigators. Now, police are listening, they're taking their notes, but they're not fully buying Christine's story. Christine was saying that Elizabeth was killed and left there on the street, but when police first found the body, remember, there wasn't any blood around. So if Christine really did stab her, there would be blood everywhere. But, there's a big but, there was one detail in Christine's story that was not public knowledge. It's pretty bad, so cover your ears for a second if you don't want to hear this. Well, I feel like all of it has been pretty bad. Well, Christine told police that she had, quote, cut some of her goddamn hair off and shoved it up her effing pussy. Yeah. Police were like, okay, she knows something. She knows something. When they found Elizabeth's body, whoever did this had indeed cut off some of Elizabeth's hair and shoved it up her lower region. Like this person, what, I have a lot of questions. Toe, hair, cut in half, you name it. Sadly, it was done. I mean, how to support Elizabeth. This information was not public knowledge. Nobody knew about this little detail except for police. They sit down with Christine and they're like, look, we know you're lying. Things aren't lining up. And that's when Christine broke down and her story just fell apart. Christine said that she had a girlfriend who worked for the Los Angeles Police Department, and she was the one that told her about the hair situation, and that's how Christine got the information. Police are like, why'd you lie? Why'd you waste her time? And she said that 2 days before Elizabeth's body was found, that Christine, she had woken up with blood all over her clothes and her shoes. But she didn't recall what had happened because she was heavily drinking at the time. Christine said that she went straight to the police with her bloody clothes and told them, like, I think I did something. When she was there, she wasn't taken seriously at all and ended up just leaving. She probably did kill somebody and she thinks it's still Elizabeth. I should check that. She said that she really struggled with this, like it was sitting with her and she was thinking about it, and so that's when she decided to come forward and try to confess again because she just couldn't live with herself knowing that she may have killed somebody. You would think police would fact check the girl who told Christine about the hair situation. Like, shouldn't this have led investigators to dig a little bit deeper and figure out why did that person tell Christine in the first place? Just find out what that was all about, right? Maybe that person was in on it or purposely causing a distraction to the case. For some reason, police did not go and question whoever it was that leaked the information in the first place. This story had become a media sensation. Sketches and letters were coming in from around the U.S. showing their support or interest to this case. In 1950, there was a sketch that came in to one of the police departments in North Carolina. It was a drawing, and on it said Dahlia Killer. Look this man up. And it was like a drawing of a man. The police department in North Carolina, they forwarded the sketch to Los Angeles to the police department. And honestly, when you look at this drawing, it's funny. It's not funny, but it's kind of cute. But it looks exactly like George. While the horrible murder of Elizabeth Short still remains unsolved, there's still one suspect that remained on police's mind, one person that they believed may have been the killer and would fit the profile, mark all the boxes. All signs were pointing towards Cleveland, Ohio. So in Cleveland, Ohio, there was a string of very disturbing murders. I was going to say suspicious, but honestly just disturbing. And these murders were happening before Elizabeth's body was found. Why was this linking to this story, you ask? The victims that were found in Cleveland were found cut in half, like sliced in half, just like Elizabeth was found. This was a serial killer who was cutting up their victims in a very similar fashion to the way Elizabeth's body was found. The serial killer became known as the Cleveland torso killer, who had, quote, moved out west, where it's believed the Black Dahlia could have been his final murder. And that, my friends, is the unsolved mystery of the horrific murder of Elizabeth Short. Also, remember how I mentioned that there was a game of tic-tac-toe cut into Elizabeth's body? I've been spending a lot of time about this, and I don't know why it's been bothering me so much, but it got me thinking, when was the last time you played tic-tac-toe alone? Do you think that maybe there was more than one person involved? Someone has to be X, someone has to be O. I'm telling you, tic-tac-toe is heavy on my noggin. But who was playing? I don't know. But then again, reading into the Cleveland torso killer, it sounds gross, but it fits his style. And maybe he did travel out to California and did indeed kill her. Or what if George was the Cleveland torso killer? Tune in next week, folks, where we're going to deep dive into that story. Normally I don't get a spoiler, but I am right now because it's kind of like a continuation, but it's also a separate story on its own. We're going to talk about it next week. Hopefully this wasn't too confusing. I feel like I simplified it a lot and made it easy, right? Okay, good. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Who did it? I need to hear your theories. I want to say a big thank you to Hunted Killer for partnering with me on today's video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and make good choices. Please be safe out there, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Ah, I have so much makeup in my hair.
This is really fucking cool.
L is for love. L is for loving your body with a clean and simple period care. L is for loving your budget.
Absolutely want this.
Love for everyone. L for every beat.
Hi, how are you today? Did you miss me? I know you did. Hi, how are you today? My name is Bailey Sarian, and today is Monday, which means it's Murder, Mystery, and Makeup Monday. If you are new here, hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Every Monday, I sit down and I talk about a true crime story that's been heavy on my I hit 1 million subscribers. First of all, I hit 1 million subscribers. I hit 1 million. Do you understand? I hit 1 million subscribers. Do you hear me? When I started Murder Mystery Makeup, first of all, I didn't even think I was gonna continue whatever the hell I was doing. It was just kind of like, hey, let me try this out, and I.
Yeah, I'm watching this.
Yeah, I was thinking that because it's 18 statistically, yeah, it might be imposters, but I didn't think it was supposed to be. I was kind of hoping we were in, because, you know, it's the first time Michaela and I were actually in now it's so never sad. Happened. So sad. So one time I got upset at the same. Oh, Michaela, she killed me. Yeah, I 100% feel that. It was so right. Also, how come no one pointed out that they killed me?
No.
Yeah, no. I was wondering, like, when he died, I didn't even know what happened. Sometimes, no, it happened to me before. They'll pop up the reported body, not like extra that got killed. Yeah, I was like, hey, you know, no one's gonna call out my life. It's sad when you're the other person that got killed in the law. Yeah. Just like them. That's very rare because you have. Okay, I have. So it's not something you've never done. I don't feel like I do it a lot.
Okay, yes. That's how I want to do it.
Yeah.
That's my biggest weakness is my memory. I'll say something that's true, like not true, but in my head I think it is. I'm like, I don't know. In my head it will be. I think my memory.
Right? That's for a hot second.
Thank you, Sam. What's my opinion on life? Life's pretty cool. Life's alright.
What was that?
Ryan taking a 1, 2, or 3?
I think 1.
3. Is it 3? Is it 3? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. I never do 2 without 1. That's on.
Okay.
Oh, what? Is it because all 3 of them mixed in together? 3 is a 1 and a 2? I thought it's that. I think it's 3 was diarrhea.
Yeah, I thought 3 was 1 and 2.
I've never had anybody with private This is private time. I thought diarrhea was going to go in red. Well, if you go to the restroom,
No, diarrhea would be called green.
I thought it was called green. Yeah.
Oh.
You know, code green's pretty bright, but you got code red.
Yeah.
You got some softer toilet paper.
Ew.
I just got shot up or something.
Alright, let's get started.
You're sounding like
Alright,
Jim.
Okay, so. That looks badass. Oh my god, I love it. Okay, it's picture time. Hold on. Because I want to get like the half and then the half. Yeah.
Even hesitation there.
I absolutely love this thing. Oh my god.
What's this? Okay, what is that? What planet is this? I think it's happening to Earth. Earth's on fire.
Where's the body?
I was literally watching this. Not red. Legit. I was literally doing weapons, and as I was coming, he doesn't get a break.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how it's gonna be. Me, Yami, and Mike were where the dogs go. Yes. Okay. How did Deacon happen? This is also right next to the
Top or bottom?
bottom.
Bullshit.
What?
I just left it. You saw me come out of it?
Yeah, you went from
asking for the bottom. I'm like, I did not see you. Were you behind me? I was so I said I saw the top door open and then the light went off. Top door? I was at the bottom. No, it's the bottom beacon tab. I was on so there's a top door and a right door. Are you saying you're coming from specimen? Yeah, like okay.
Wow, 22 people.
Why you never saw the kill? I just saw the door open. And if you say she was in, I had to move it.
Okay, so let's do this.
Yeah, I didn't see Jay. So I literally got into that office with the admin, and I just said Marcy. And so when I closed,
I feel like if you're an actor,
the Bible check, that's what
if you're an actor, you're going to be really good at this game. You know? Yeah. I think they're good actors. I'm not.
And then we combine this.
Let's go.
Sorry, Raz, we love you. Not the good folks. I love you, Raz.
All right.
Anybody buy it?
No.
Just a tiny bit, but not that much.
That's really. Oh no, we need to fix the lights. Get out of here. No, it's just no. Are you going to the hole? Let's go to the hole. Yummy. Yummy. Where's Yummy? Where is she? I think Yummy has just disappeared. Wait, where does the hole go, guys? Tell me where the hole goes. I could do an emergency meeting, but I was so stupid. Okay, no, we know Eric's phone. Where's Yummy? That's the thing. Hey, we're all together basically, right? Except for Yummy. Oh, okay. Alright. Okay.
Mhm. I am in love with this piece. Oh my god.
She could come in easily.
What happened?
About this in the room right next to the office where you do the swiping card and the checking the files.
Wait, in the room right next to me?
Yeah, right next to the office.
The one where you can see like where everybody is.
Above that.
Does anyone else suspect Yummy by any chance?
I can vouch for Birthday Boy. I've been watching Birthday Boy like a month.
Yeah, she sure has.
There was only one thing that happened. I think I almost want to say that I think she went into a hole. The only reason I said that is because I see her standing there in the office or something like that, and then like I went away, and I came back, and then she was nowhere to be found. So like, I just did. I can't say for sure. In the office. Is the office in the middle, right? Very middle? You ever been there?
There's a hole at the bottom next to the library.
Yeah.
I won't be so hot.
That hole.
Okay, but that makes it sound worse because I definitely saw you.
So Jay, I can confirm Jay Blake's, Mike was calling me and Jackie. Mike, you said you're at office right now?
Yeah, I was.
Yemi, where are you? Mike? Yeah,
Yeah, no,
Medbay.
I will say, I will.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Wait, Mike was in Medbay? Yeah.
Mike was Medbay with us.
Yeah. When the lights were off, we were trying to make our way to lights, but I was like making sure I was with my. Well, you gotta welcome somebody here. Yemi?
Sorry. Wait, no, I'm not.
Yeah, right. He's not eyeballing me.
She said she wasn't in the office. That was a lie.
He saw what he saw.
This is turning out so fucking good. I
That's
love
the
it.
opposite right outside. Maybe she was right. Oopsie. Oh well. You win some, you lose some. I was reading chat too, but that's not why I said it. I literally because I stuff with me. I hate this stupid ass man. Always like interrupting me.
Okay.
And this force field. We got
I
this.
need.
What? Yeah, man, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Emmy. I'm so sorry. But I really did.
You know what?
Okay.
I'm not mad at the tag.
No. No, I know. No. Okay, you were right next to the office. I thought it was all the office. It was literally right next to the office, though. Like, right next to it.
It's so funny. Michaela vouched for me. There were moments where I was like, God, Michaela's on me like crazy. She's watching me gas things. If I don't do my best,
I wish you would have said you were outside of it at least. Now maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not going to be red lane. Yeah. You know what? I ripped my table. Nobody even questioned it. You report. You put it like 2 seconds. I know what that 1 minute cup. Like the next minute you can finish. It's so funny. Because I killed the rat. And then I'm like, wait, let me go back and look. Just in case anyone comes back. And then I'm going to come out and be like, oh my God, the body next to the bed. I'm usually. It's the first body that they like give me is like a hard head. It's like, well, you know what you stuff before.
No one really supports the bar.
Well, yeah, when you had said I saw Michaela and said,
Yes.
if you saw her, she would have saw you. What the fuck?
Also, can we get a thing running with my chat having a little bit of a feud? Is there an order to fueling the engines in Hollis, or is there no order?
It's usually left and right.
Because everyone, like, there are some people that are saying that it's in the wrong order, but then there's another who says it's a random order.
I think it's random. I thought it was always left and right. I do. I do. I actually have guessed it. Yeah, I was just talking about Hey, good job, Kathy.
I absolutely fucking love this.
I was like, you're saying you gotta get a kill on it. I'm playing the long game right now. Yeah.
Huh? Yep. Love you.
I'm not gonna bust all the time. But I do got coffee. Oh, the dog here with me. You know, maybe. This. I don't even know where it is. Someone got to put it. Things are easy. A long way ahead. Whoa, are you kidding me? Get him! Get him!
What?
Who was it? Who was it? Was it Cat?
Yeah, not us. I think
Right, yeah, you just said that. Yeah, it was Cat.
Oh my god.
So let me explain myself. So I left this telescope, and then the lights went off, and I saw Michaela and Yami.
That was a ballsy move.
So I left them, and I was like, if either one of them die, the person who's about to kill her. So I left them, went right into the light. As soon as I was about to
It could have
hit
been
the
anyone.
button, and then I just hit two clicks before I did.
There was three of us in that room, so
I think Jay was there though for half a second, but I think it's just Eric, Yami, and me. So I just
Okay.
I was not that working, so I can do my own.
I was tagging because he said he told me to. Did you actually see him? I saw like the little fucking shadow. I saw Jay and Mike fixing lights, and then I saw like that. I already.
You saw it, all right.
Are lights fixed yet? No, they're not fixed. No, not when I saw like in the little fucking Jay. So you were there. No, I just walked in there and I saw the report. But you just said you had the menu up. Me? I thought I heard. I must. I didn't have the menu. Yeah, someone said they had a menu up. I'm like, okay, well then use that. Real quick, Jay, you were there though. Yeah, I walked in, saw the report button, and then Jay recorded it before I did. Alright, I must have moved and stuff. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Hey, that. The bubble pop is on Jay right now. An innocent man almost died. Don't pull up. Right.
Alright, we're gonna help our team. I can't fix lights yet. No, I can't fix lights. It's such a new thing. I should know that by now, even by the time I did, but it's screen running these fast. Bam. Bam. Oh, fast with my task. Download it. Back into the main thing. Oh, okay, I should, but I need to do my task. I know it's Cat you because it killed me, so it's not like I'd even. I really want to see this though. I want to see this. He's sabotaging something right now. Weird, right? Unless it's Brian. Actually, I have no idea. I feel like these are new. I've never done them. But I could be wrong. Alright, so this supposed to take it out? Or what?
Yes.
What are you gonna do?
Okay.
No, there's the body.
Where's Michaela?
Right, and Michaela? Holy shit, no.
I was just with Michaela. I didn't see anyone else in there.
I was literally.
What? I don't think you were right. I saw you in the room. I mean, invited to you like after that. So.
How are you stuck with it?
Well, you disappeared. I went down into the session. Didn't come down.
Yeah, well, I had just passed you.
It's a lie.
Michaela is
Okay,
right
I need some
outside of
light
the
now.
thing that makes me think it's you. Because you just saw me on medbay with Michaela. Had you had medbay scale like you said you did, you would have met me. Hey, I just did red. Yeah, it was red. We don't know. We don't know. Last time I saw red. Last time I saw red was 02. All right. Yeah, 02. Sure. Yami, I'm positive. And bullshit. Never did medbay. Yeah. thinking it's Peggy and Yami. Now as the person who's riddled with dementia,
Wipe me off every time. It's okay.
I don't want to vote for you. Yeah, well, Yami,
Give us a nice story here.
because you're not making any better for yourself. I don't want to vote for you. I feel like Yami's being cocky and whatever. Wait, no, guys, voting ends in 10 seconds. Maggie, vote for Maggie.
Hurry, hurry.
Where's myself?
Maggie, get him out of here.
Yami. We go to Yami, then Maggie. If it's not Yami, well, guess what? You did. Good job, everybody. Good job. Oh, what? It's not Yami at all? No, you idiot. No. I'm better. Maggie. Yami, you know, you just threw that at yourself, right?
I could ask him.
You did. You was 5 feet. If you voted yourself, there was 2. Dude, I even voted for Kagi towards the end. Because I was like, stop fucking pig. The easiest way to tell was Kagi is the way to become Jay. I knew it was Kagi right from the start. The funny thing, guys, I'm so glad Ryan didn't vote. Because Ryan was right at my face.
You killed him.
I also want everyone to realize that I'm pretty sure Yami had targets on all of them, and I think it's completely justified at this point.
Yeah.
Yami is a sweet innocent and
That was
I only went after you guys because I was like,
Yeah.
I actually did not do.
It was dark, wasn't it?
I'm going to do my round ritual of apologizing. Because I didn't. Now that I know you got memory like me, don't worry. I will like that again. Also, I like you. If you took that book in regular, maybe it would have. Yeah. It would have just not been it. Yeah, I saw Raz and I'm like, I'm not gonna kill Raz because then it'll be even more sus. And then I was like, I have to keep Jay alive because then it's kind of sus of him. Yeah, like I was waiting until the lights were out to start going to Raz because after I think the first round when we were sussing Jay was out. Yeah. I have to get someone else and Raz was like the only one who was by himself. If I were to go like say McKinley or Miami, immediately that would come to me. Yeah, I did it in the dream. I saw Michaela die just on the lights. I was watching somebody flip her body on the street. It's pretty. Okay. With my thought process.
Alright, let's not die in the beginning.
Did you kill and self-report because like yeah, first round was freaking. No, I self-reported because I swore he saw me. Oh.
I'm a little happy that I'm not imposter because I hate the pressure. I know everyone says that, but for me, because a long time ago, I really don't like it. A long time ago, imposter joined my family. It's gonna be yelling at like every time, like that would be insane. What is it? What is it? Okay, please return in 15 moments. Oh, return. What did that mean? What is this? Is that like a thing? No, I don't. I can't lie. Okay, those traps. In. Okay, yeah, you're gonna kill me. I know, just talk about it. Alright. Who was that?
Oh my god.
Okay, I got a question real quick. Who was on the other reactor? Let's just the game. I just want to check one on the reactor for a long time. Yeah, there was yeah, there was a couple that went up there. Like, so I got locked out.
Those are super sauce.
Back up. Out.
What is my? You might know it's a blind man. That one just kills me.
I can account for him coming up the reactor with me.
Yeah, I get it.
Otherwise, I don't know where that is. Okay, so I saw Raz going vital, and I thought he was gonna hit the first.
Soon, they're making that dog around the series. We're recording today.
And then he was trying to ask one question because I didn't want it.
It's coming really soon. You guys smashed like so fast.
But the body would have been old anyway. Okay, so I thought it was gonna be Raz. I honestly don't. I don't think anybody felt Raz.
Yeah, she's too good. Man. She's getting away with it. Sitting there.
I thought it was
Who sold that? Who sold that? Guys, keep sending me Japanese stuff. I need to practice, okay? I'm like trashy Japanese. I need that. Can everyone, you remember, just speak Japanese, everyone. I don't care if you don't know how, just do it. I want to see you guys do something. Do that.
There we go. Okay.
Please. Okay, you guys are, there we go. Wait for it. What's that?
I don't know what the first log. I kind of thought my tail was slightly go towards Raz.
Hmm.
And I was like doing the whole dance, like, oh,
Super cool. I got it. That's not what I said.
So we're trying to
That's not what that said. Yes, it is.
Ryan makes me suspect this car. Yami didn't go for herself first, no way. But you didn't go for Yami just in case I do things to everybody else. So, I'm thinking that chance of the killer. And why? Yes, I guess. I mean, it doesn't have to happen for it at the end of the day. But hold on, here's another thing. You also trust Yami at the very beginning. So why? You trust Yami and Ryan. I can only vouch for Ryan. Otherwise, I don't know where he was. At no point did I defend him.
You're becoming a stranger with that next one. Nante, pure. Katakana, I haven't learned it. I know more kanji than I know katakana, which is like totally backwards.
And if I open, he could be both of you. I know
because I don't want, just in case people don't know what happened last episode. But I have my guesses. I appreciate your donation. Oh my god, so much Japanese. Not the guy, little Monday, Nara. Think of what a lovely kind of Japanese. I don't know how to speak Japanese, that's what you said. So,
I love this thing. Oh my god.
I'm not sure there's a slide past the beginning. Alright. Tashiba, Kobo, Taber. Hey, I know what you said. You said you want to eat children. How dare you? That's us. Watch this. When I speak Japanese fluently, it's all over for you. I'm gonna play everything in Japanese. And you'll be like, what does it say? And I'll be like, baka. Hey, what does it say? What does it say? 私はそれを言います。言いましたか? That's what I said. That's what I said. Would you ever do a viewer among the stream? I probably will just do all the Among Us stuff. Extreme. The stream is just more fun. But yeah, I mean, probably. If you guys, like, I got a lot of responses that people wanted to see me do another viewer. I do. Yeah, that's what it says.
Auction 2020. Yo, yeah, we did that. Okay. We can already clear who is doing Fallout.
I thought it was James, not James.
I thought it was Ryan. I was there.
Okay.
Are Michaela, Jay, it's Michaela and Brian again. Let's do it. No, Brian was literally there.
Just assume.
Brian, no, Brian was there. So it's Michaela. Hold on. I just want to say, Brad, this is no stuff on you, but I'm just saying, usually the first person that's like, oh, I can't believe they killed so and so. That's usually the guy, the person that killed so and so.
Based on the history, that's true.
I know. I'm just saying. Maybe it's just because it's Yanni. Anyway, back to you.
Just your average. Yeah, I remember you. Sorry, say that again. I just did the freaking, what was it? The cask on the bottom. Was it on the radio? We were all there. Yeah, no, so I started leaving. I could see the office literally from right outside the office. I could see Jay and I could see Brad. You know.
Excuse me. You know what? I'm gonna take a break on this. No, not yet. What time is it? (9:22). After I finish this skull thing, I'm gonna take a break.
I feel like trash.
Yeah, I haven't seen the body at all. That's
You're funny.
that wasn't me. I voted to skip because it was anonymous. It was a Yami shoe. Yeah. Was it dead? Yeah. For sure.
Okay.
I can't do that. I don't know how to get out of fish. I'm like so boring. Oh god, I don't like this. Gotta make a move though. Gotta make a move somehow.
Gotta use a smaller brush.
Where is the body? Wiring and down. I did weather number right next to it, next to weapons at the beginning of the round, but that guy since then I haven't done it. There was someone with me. Was it you, Jay, that was up there?
It sucks. I'm looking at you right now. Yeah, I played it. I don't know everything about this map. Rason's gotta go. Rason's gotta go. It's too on to me. Just 17 swords. I see no one in there. I was doing, what do you call that? The last test that I did before that was actually on the other side of the map. I know I didn't like bench or anything, but I just went around. I just walked in there. No, okay, alright. Because I don't know this map very well, it's the task where you screw the CO2. Is it CO2? What is it? Where you take it out? Yeah, I thought everyone knew. It's the one where you like bring the canisters down and you put it in and you open up. There's two of them. No, I thought we were on the same page. Sorry. You don't know?
The first time that I called it, I was at Water Wheels, and then before the emergency button, I just finished doing it in every week.
You need this. You need this. You can't get to kill rats. Pessimist. Where's rats? Comes in here. Where's
It's so fucking cool.
I know. What happened now?
I don't know what to do with this. If you want to go get
No, Matilda, we're feeling how
What happened?
Back to us. Hold on. Don't vote Michaela. I don't think it's her. Can I ask a quick question? How am I supposed to defend myself against that accusation? I think it's him, because someone did comp. No one does. I don't know.
well, here's another thing. We've never played with Mike, and I don't know Mike's MO in terms of sabotage. He could have also done this.
All right. So
I mean, I have no defense.
It's
Nothing
Mike.
against that either. What can I say?
I'm not sure if it is Mike or not. I'm gonna say it. It's Mike and Raz. Right? I'm gonna say it. Reason over on defending Mike. Do we have any reason?
Well, I'm defending Mike because I genuinely believe his O2 thing. That's why I asked him exactly how it would die.
Well, I don't think
Thank
Raz
you.
is not. Raz is gonna help the meeting.
I literally just told this meeting.
Why would I?
But Aaron told me before as imposter.
But also,
I'm not going to compare it.
I better rest.
I mean, you are thinking of
Oh my God! Look, you're never gonna pull anybody off this bitch. Hey, somebody call another meeting.
No.
Let me get my tabs in already, dude. Call the damn meeting. Hey, yo, Raz, not my neck, dude.
Wow, this is fucking awesome. I love it.
I'm too scared. I don't know why. I haven't had a good chance, guys. Oh, what's going on?
Okay, I just want to say I fully believe Patty's innocent. I want to check with the room so I can only vouch for Patty in this. So with comms, I can only suspect Mike because I know Raz and Jay and Aaron's MO in terms of what they said. I don't know Mike's MO, so I can only assume Mike.
I can't obviously through the inbox. Their name is mine. It's when I was over there doing songs. So it was the kick that was on the phone. No, I actually was free to do my download. Oh, okay, okay. Me and Raz had was the right. Raz did not come with me to check the building.
I was in the midst of doing it. No.
Well, that's very cute, but that's cute. But
How do you say anything? How do you say anything?
it's Mike and Raz. It's Mike and fucking Raz. I actually think it's Mike and Aaron.
Heidi, you're small brainy. Are you smooth brainy? This is bad. You're screaming on your
Raz. Nothing can compare. Nothing can compare to the brain cells I lost yesterday. So this is fine if I lose.
remember who absolutely finished Mike until the last day.
Right, which is why if you're an imposter, this is the biggest brain play. You can't say that you were a detective back then and be like, oh, Tom's the reason why you're fine. You're like, yeah, I'm really a detective.
Okay. I'm gonna take a break for a while. This is beautiful.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I didn't